I had one of those moments where something that I kind of already knew came to me. It's like I already knew it, but it kind of hit on a different level. You know, when something really sinks in. One of the biggest arguments people have is that we are no longer under the law, that we're no longer required to follow the Torah. First, when they say all we have to do is follow the Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments are a PowerPoint of the Torah. So you have the Ten Commandments that are your PowerPoint. The Torah is the breakdown. It gives you literally the footnotes to understand how to follow those Ten Commandments. So to say you follow the Ten Commandments but you don't have to follow Torah is very contradictory, and it honestly has never made any sense. The other thing is, if we say the Messiah came to the earth and died in order to do away with the law, you're literally saying that you no longer have to do good. You no longer have to be a good person, because that's all the Torah teaches. How to be good, how to do good, how to not sin, how to protect your soul spiritually, your body physically with the food laws. Like, it is just the guidelines to do good, to be good. So people that say we're no longer under the law, all you have to do is just, be a good person. What do you think the Torah is? It's being a good person, it's being obedient. The thing is, we don't get to pick and choose, though, what makes us good. That is why they want the Torah to be done away with. Because they don't like Yahweh's definition of good versus evil. And they don't want to follow it. So if they take away the Torah and just leave the Ten Commandments PowerPoint, that leaves their own interpretation of how they want to follow the Ten Commandments. When we're given very in-depth instructions of how to properly follow the Ten Commandments in the Torah. Are you starting to see the connection here? The Torah and the Ten Commandments are the same thing. Ten Commandments are just a summary of the Torah. So you can't say, I followed the Ten Commandments, but not the Torah. The Torah is the Ten Commandments, but broken down in much more detail of instructions of how to properly follow the Ten Commandments. When you stop and really think about it, the law has been around before we even existed on this earth. The law is good. It is the definition of doing good, being righteous, being pure. That was already around. Why do you think the angels fell? The angels have the option to choose the law of life and liberty or the law of sin and death. Satan chose the law of sin and death. He chose not to be obedient. The angels that have remained obedient, they're choosing the law of life and liberty. They're obeying Yahweh and doing what's good. So when you say you just have to be a good person, well, what's your definition of being a good person? We can't put our own interpretation on what it means to be a good person. That's why people want to say the law is done away with, and you just have to be a good person. We've already been told how to be a good person. We've already been told how to be righteous and holy. We just also want to sin and not follow all the rules of how to be good. So that's why we say it's done away with, but I'm still a good person, and that's all I have to do. You're not truly a good and righteous person unless you're following the rules Yahweh already gave us of how to be good and righteous. People that say works are not required, you have to have good works in order to be a good person. Without those good works, how are you showing that you're a good person, that you're a righteous person? Even the angels have to do good works. The angels have to be obedient. The angels that were disobedient were cast out. The angels that have been obedient and have proven themselves through their works, through their actions, they are the ones. Son just used the bathroom. So you notice that the angels that have proven themselves the most, they have the most rank and the most power. They have shown Yahweh that they can be trusted, that they're reliable, that they're obedient. We have to do the same thing. We have to prove to Yahweh that we are worthy. We have to show him that our desires are purely for good. His version, his explanation of good, not ours. We have to prove to him that we love him above all else. And how do you prove that? By being obedient. Why would the Messiah come to the earth and die just to say, that the rules for being good and righteous are gone. We no longer have to be good and righteous. The definition of good will never change. We just try to change it. And we try to justify it in our minds. Because we've always been a very wicked-hearted, rebellious people. The reason why the Messiah had to die was so that we can go back into covenant with our Father, because we were rebellious and we whored after other gods. And a husband cannot take his wife back after she has went whoring. And the Father can also not die for the sins of the Son. So that is why the Messiah had to die. That is why he died for us, so that we can be made new. You are able to receive forgiveness and go back into covenant with the Father. I just wish more people would stop and really think about this, instead of being fixated on what is imprinted on our brains, that has been passed down through the generations. All that's been passed down, it's not truth. It's just another way, an excuse we come up with to sin. It's just excuse after excuse, trying to justify the sins we keep committing, and trying to justify why you don't want to follow the rules. I never say any of this to sound cruel or heartless. It's just loving truth. Sorry, it's nighttime now. I was making dinner and I don't want to turn the light on because the kids are in bed. So we know that the Messiah is the living, breathing Torah. He was created in the beginning. He was the very first creation. It says the Word was with Yahweh. And if the Messiah is the living, breathing Torah, and it's his job to bring it to us, then that means the Torah existed from the very beginning, even before us. The Torah was the first thing to be created along with the Messiah. That's why Adam and Eve were told to not partake of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because they didn't have any knowledge of sin yet. You can't sin unless there's a law to be broken. When the Watchers wanted to come down to earth, and I can't remember his name, but the lead Watcher asked the others to follow him, he was afraid that they would back out of it. He said this great sin would be on his head alone, and they promised that no, they wouldn't back out. Well, how can you have a sin on your head unless there is a law in place that they were breaking? If someone is perfect and has never sinned, has never done any wrong, there's no reason to come to them with the rules of you're not allowed to do this or that. But once we started sinning and breaking the law, once we were introduced to breaking the law, then the law needed to be taught to us because we were breaking it. Then we needed to be taught, okay, this is right, this is wrong. So Yahweh sends his Son. He sends his messengers to tell us right from wrong. What is right and what is wrong was established in the very beginning. And we certainly have no right as mere mortal humans to say we have a better explanation and standard of right and wrong. Why would the whole definition of good and evil just be changed or wiped away? It wouldn't, and that's what the whole law is. It is telling us what is good and what is evil. Think about it. We're told to not covet. We're told to not be prideful. What did Satan do? He coveted the throne of Yahweh. He was prideful. Pride goes before a fall. You can literally watch the lawlessness and the law breaking unfolding before his fall. Yes, it's the next day, but I had something I wanted to add. Something that my husband brought to my attention, and also Sister Jen, from a video she posted. Okay, I'm going to be reading John 1:1. Listen carefully, this is very important. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. Notice how Word is capitalized. What are capitalized? Names. He was in the beginning with Elohim. All came to be through him, and without him not even one came to be that came to be. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. What do we always reference as the light? Keeping our lamps full, Torah, letting your light shine. And the light shines in the darkness. Our lamps are supposed to shine in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So it says, in the beginning was the Word. We know that the Messiah was created in the very beginning. It says the Word was with Yahweh, and the Word was Yahweh. This goes back to reference where the Messiah says, me and my Father are one. Not literally, they are of one mind though, so the Word was Yahweh. He is the living embodiment of Yahweh's Word. Yahweh's Torah. The beginning tells the end. Yeshua was created in the very beginning. And if Yeshua is the Word, the Torah, that means the Torah is in the beginning and the end, never ending. All through Scripture, you'll notice that you'll have a verse that says, "And the Word came to him." What is the Word? The Messiah. The Messiah is coming to them with instruction, with guidance. People argue and say that Scripture was written by man. Then why was the Word constantly coming to them and instructing them? It wasn't written by man. We've only been the scribes. When it says that all things came to be through the Word, Yahweh creates through agency. Yahweh's created everything, but he always carries out through agency. He's never left his throne. So the Messiah was the very first angel created. He is the Word. It says that everything came to be through the Word. Yeshua was used to create through the power and ability of his Father. Just the same as you would have someone who you might call the hand of the king. He speaks for the king in his absence. If the king sends him with orders, you are to treat him as the king. He's not the king, and he doesn't have higher authority than the king, but you are to treat his word as the words of the king. They are the words of the king coming out of the hand's mouth, which is why it says the word was with Yahweh and the word was Yahweh, because the word is only speaking what Yahweh wants him to speak. They are Yahweh's words coming out of a different being's mouth. I know this can be a lot to take in. I do understand that completely. What I know today wasn't revealed to me in just one day. I've been woken up to the truth now for probably about 2-3 years, and Yahweh is slowly revealing things to me because he knows when it's the right time for something to be revealed to you. So even though this can be overwhelming, please just pray about it. Seek truth, read Scripture with a pure and humble heart. Empty your cup so that Yahweh can refill it, and that can only happen with humility.